First reading for ordinance 1040, an ordinance amending certain sections of Article 4, Chapter 16 of the Lions Municipal Code pertaining to the outdoor activity overlay districts and modifying the boundaries of the restricted outdoor activity overlay district and the open outdoor activity overlay district. Resolution 2018-83, a resolution of the Town of Lyons in support of amendment number 110, Let's Go Colorado, on the 2018 general election ballot. Resolution 2018-84 is a resolution of the Town of Lyons in opposition to the amendment 74, an amendment to the Colorado Constitution requiring the government to award just compensation to owners of private property when government law or regulation reduces the fair market value of property. Resolution 2018-85 is a resolution of the Town of Lyons approving the First Amendment to the construction agreement with Zach Dirt for Project 18 NKPWF1-04 for the Public Works Facility overlock grading. Resolution 2018-90, a resolution of the Town of Lyons ratifying the decision made by the Board of Trustees at the regular meeting September 17th for the Lyons Properties Utilities for 501 West Main. Resolution 2018-86, a resolution of the Town of Lyons approving award of the Public Works Site construction agreement with the Falco Construction Company. The October 2018 accounts payable, the 2017, September 17, 2018 Board of Trustees meeting minutes, and Resolution 2018-91, a resolution of the Town of Lyons accepting a $10,000 marketing grant from the Colorado Tourism Office.
All right, would anyone like to pull any items from consent?
Pull number 4, please.
Others?
Pull number 5.
All right, I'd like to pull item number 2. Is there a motion to approve?
And then I need to make a correction in the September 17th minutes, so I guess we
Okay. Number 8. Okay, is there a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. And those are passed 7-0. Thank you. First item under general business, resolution 2018-88. Turn over to staff.
Hi, Brandon Dittman, Town Attorney. So this is a resolution to create an ad hoc advisory committee. So the town has its ability, or town board of trustees has its abilities for the town code to create ad hoc advisory committees. This was an attempt to create an ad hoc advisory committee to deal with the issue of 2 revolving loan funds the town manages, one being the USDA revolving loan fund, the other being the BRT or BRF. Julie, I'm looking for some help here. BRT?
Business Recovery Loan Fund.
Okay.
BRLF.
BRLF, revolving loan fund, and creating a new committee to help deal with that. The plan, just so you know, going forward is we are creating this ad hoc committee at this meeting with the board's approval, of course. And if it is so created, we will appoint members at the following BOT meeting. And then once we have a board together, they will then be tasked, in accordance with this resolution, of creating their own rules and standards for approving approving loans and for managing themselves, which of course staff will assist on doing that. Once those rules are created at this board's first meeting, those will be approved by the Board of Trustees, we believe, at the November 5th meeting. Just kind of the game plan going forward on these. We have identified some people who have interest in joining this committee. So we're having a call-out meeting, if you will, next week to kind of explain what the committee is, if this is approved, and getting interest for which to have a pool of people we can give to the mayor to recommend for appointment to this committee. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for staff? If not, actually,
Yes, I
Is there a
do. I do have
question?
one question. I looked through the town code and I didn't see anything that would make a decision of an ad hoc committee appealable to the Board of Trustees. And the reason I asked that is when these loan funds were set up, care was taken to make sure that the town itself, either the staff or the Board of Trustees, wasn't making the loan decisions about which local businesses got or didn't get loans, because those can get very tricky.
Yep. No, there's nothing in the code, you're correct, making this automatically mandatory. I mean, the board could suggest that the committee could adopt that in the rules, but if that's not the board's desire, we won't go down that path.
No,
Yeah.
my desire would be
Not to do specifically.
And I guess, and my other question is, as the resolution is worded, it says that the committee would, part of their duties would be setting terms and conditions of loans. Should we also reference that the committee is should have the authority to approve or deny loan requests?
I thought I had that in there, but if not, we can certainly amend it to do that. That was the intent.
I didn't see that yet, because I'd rather make it clear that that function belongs with the committee and not with the board or the staff.
Yes, we'd be happy to make that a change. That was certainly the intent if it was not in there. We had to kind of create this from scratch, considering, this was never done before.
Besides just
Yeah.
policy considerations of should a board get involved in that stuff, there's the issue if it gets to the board, is open record, anything we review is an open record. We really don't want business information for loan requests to be in front of this board and make it subject to open records requests. We really don't want that. So I think if we could make it clear that the decisions belong with the ad hoc committee, not with the board, that's better.
We'd be happy to make that change.
Trustee Walker.
Well, I was just gonna mention, I do have an amendment to the resolution prepared to address that.
Oh, good.
Let's actually get a motion
You
there
get a
on the
motion,
floor,
okay,
yeah.
and then we'll move on with amendments. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2018-88?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Right, do you want to present an amendment?
Yeah, so I wanted to suggest an amendment to, it would be, let's see, after section 11, where it says no member of the revolving loan fund ad hoc advisory committee may receive any monetary compensation for service, add a section there that says no member of the revolving loan fund ad hoc advisory committee shall be a Town of Lyons employee or member of the Board of Trustees, to avoid any conflict of interest between the town who is administering the funding of the loan and the loan applicant.
Is there a second for the amendment?
I'll second that.
I'd like to read it one more time if you have.
Sure, I got it backwards in here. So, again, it would be after section 11, and it would state, no member of the revolving loan fund ad hoc advisory committee shall be a Town of Lyons employee or member of the Board of Trustees, to avoid any conflict of interest between the town who is administering the funding of the loan and the loan applicant.
Okay, any discussion on the amendment? Trustee Farrell?
I have a question. Should that also include something from PCDC potentially? I don't know. I'm just, other boards that have some authority.
I guess I would feel like a member of another board and commission is not a town employee and not a member of the governing board, so
Okay.
that would be okay.
Okay.
But I welcome any opinion on that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any legal requirement that we exclude PCDC members. I mean, they don't control the purse of the town.
Okay.
So the conflict that, or at least the appearance of conflict that a board member would have serving on this committee would not be the case for the PCDC, who has no authority to appropriate funds.
Okay.
Wonder if they were going to appropriate funds toward a quasi-judicial matter.
Pardon?
Wonder if there was a quasi-judicial matter involving that business and they had awarded them funds for an improvement.
We get away, I think policy-wise, we get away.
They could recuse?
They could recuse, yeah.
Okay,
Any member of this board can recuse themselves. Yeah.
okay.
And that's written in the resolution.
Yep.
Okay, gonna go call for the vote on the amendment. And the amendment is approved 7-0. Any further discussion on the overall resolution?
I guess to take care of all
Trustee
the
Brown?
changes at once, I would propose an amendment in section 3. After the words setting terms and conditions of loans, there's a comma, and I would add approving or denying loan requests.
I'll second that amendment.
In the third line of section 3.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. So setting of terms and conditions of loans, is that where you're at?
Yeah, comma, and then approving
Comma.
or denying loan requests.
Approving, okay. Any further discussion on the amendment?
And to be clear, the reason for that is to make it clear that this committee, not the board, makes that decision, those decisions.
Okay. All right, I'll call for the vote on the amendment. And that's approved 7-0. Thank you. Any further amendments or discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote on the overall resolution of 2018-88. All right, and it's approved as amended. Thank you. The next item on general business is just a motion to accept, or stating that we have received an initial budget from the town. Procedural matter, we have a lot of work to do yet, but we have received an initial draft budget. Mhm.
I'll move that we accept the initial iteration of the 2019 budget, and it is being accepted by the board.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. And it is passed 7-0, thank you. Next up is the housing update.
I do have a housing update tonight. I have been notified by Summit Housing Group that they have closed on the property in Lions Valley Park, both tract day and 11 single-family parcels.
Small outburst.
Yes.
When did that
Very
happen?
exciting. Friday, or Thursday? What day was that? Thursday or Friday? Must have been Thursday and you were on Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
All right,
that's
is that it?
awesome.
I believe that is it for now. We will be awaiting next steps with them, and I know they're eager to now set out a planning and development review process with Paul for Tract A. The 11 parcels, because they are zoned for single family, won't require any planning commission involvement at all. They will need to secure their financing with the state and the federal disaster money, I'm sure before they move forward, but the 11 single-family homes will not need any development review. The Tract A will.
Great. All right, anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the items that were pulled from consent. So the first item I pulled, so I'll start with number 2. I would like to ask the board for the motion, and then I would like to add one amendment or offer one amendment. So is there a motion to approve Resolution 2018-83?
I'll move to approve resolution 2018-93. 83?
Is it, I think it's 83.
83, sorry.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So just for discussion purposes, I think one of the things that is really important between the two transportation options that are being presented is that this particular bill, 110, actually sends money to the town of Lyons. The other option, the town does not benefit directly. There is a fixed list of projects that can be done if the other proposal were to pass, and they aren't in Lyons, and they won't be in Lyons. And so this is the only proposal that actually would generate funds for Lyons, and I would like the resolution to actually acknowledge that, to help the citizens understand that the reason we're supporting this is that we actually will see dollars from this if it does pass. So And I would defer to the town attorney to figure out where to best put this in the flow. But I would like to move that we add a whereas that says the town of Lyons stands to receive an additional $75,000, an approximate $75,000 to use in improving Lyons streets and trails, if the amendment were to pass.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on the amendment? All right, I'll call for the vote on the amendment. And that passes 7-0. Is there a motion or any further discussion on the overall motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote to approve resolution 2018-83. And that passes 7-0. Thank you. I've had several Metro Mayor's Caucus and representatives calling me asking if we were going to be doing this, and they'll be very pleased to hear that we are supporting that. The next one on the agenda was number 4, so I'll turn it over to Trustee Carabas.
I just pulled this just to, as I've done before with a lot of contracts when we do ads, and I get questions from people in the public. Minor differences, and I've contacted Joe. He's got some good explanations, so I like to have him indicate. But being 2 feet off is a big deal sometimes, and being a couple inches off didn't cost some money. But I do believe with what you sent me and what we did discuss that. I forgot, I had to go through some old notes, but if you just so public knows, the possibility was always there that we'd be sure we didn't know we were saving money on the front end. Hopefully that's to save money on the back end at the same time.
Right, what happened is the way we did these projects are unit price contracts. So whatever the contractor actually takes out or puts in, he gets paid for. So that risk is on the town. We couldn't get a piece of drilling equipment out there to see how deep the clay was. It was so gooey, plasticky, that the machine would have disappeared, and then we would have had to buy him a new drilling machine. So we just couldn't get the test, so we did the best we can from the application we had, with the understanding that the quantities are going to adjust to what they actually are, regardless of whether we knew it or not. So we made a guess or an estimate of 3 feet, and it turned out to be 5 to 7 feet deep. And we just adjust the unit prices, and the contract amount has to go up, but no bid prices went up. And had we got out there and drilled it, we would have just had that in the first approval, and the quantities wouldn't have changed, or the contract amount wouldn't have changed. We just wouldn't have had to visit you with a change order.
Thank you.
Right. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2018-85?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. It passes 7-0. Thank you. The next item, would you guys like to go and recuse first?
Yes, I will recuse myself from discussion on resolution 2018-90, as my husband is a partner in Lyons Properties LLC.
I will also recuse myself as I am an employee of Riverbend. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
I don't think this will take long. The reason for asking to pull this is really just a technical correction. The original draft of the resolution referenced that Lyons Properties had entered into a 12-month payout plan granted by the Board of Trustees. Well, that's not the way payout plans work. They're basically automatic. They're granted by the town administrator, but even the code doesn't give even the town administrator discretion to approve or deny, but somebody requests it, they get it. So, town attorney has handed me a corrected, a slightly modified version that references the administrator granted a 12-month payment plan executed by Lyons Properties. So that's really just making that change to make sure it was clear that the board didn't grant that request because it never came before us.
I actually was going to pull this as well because I thought it might be useful to add a little more language to the whereases. Nowhere in the MOU does it actually have what the town engineer's decision was in terms of how many taps to assign. So I thought it'd be really good to memorialize that in the whereases so that it's written somewhere other than in the emails and communications that have gone back and forth. So it actually, if we could have a motion first to approve the resolution, and then we can add amendments.
I move to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
I'd like to offer an amendment to add to the third whereas to the end of that, after MOA, the statement basically that mirrors what the MOU says, that it gives the town engineer authority to determine the number of sewer taps needed. So just stating that they agreed to allowing the town engineer to do that. And then secondly, add a new whereas after that one. I'll just do this all as one motion. That whereas the town engineer based the determination of 1 tap to 4 tiny homes has been, as was determined for the RV sites in Laverne Johnson Park. And you can make that cleaner if you like, but something to state that that's how that decision was made and what it was based on. I believe those were all part of our discussion and are eligible to be added. Okay, that's my motion. Thank you. Any discussion on the amendment? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote on the amendment. And that's approved 5-0. Any other amendments or discussion?
Just want to make sure that the version we're voting on is the corrected version, that everybody get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right, I'll call for the vote on the resolution. All right, and that's approved 5-0. Thank you. All right, then there's the BOT minutes from September 17th.
Yes, I asked this to be pulled. The minutes reflected a 5-2 vote on splitting the cost of moving the warning siren. I voted, and it showed me as part of the 5. I voted no on that, so it was really a 4-3 vote.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my red light was on. It may be hard to see from where you were.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All right, call for the vote. And those are approved 7-0. All right, thank you. We'll go on to trustee reports. Anyone want to start? Trustee Brown? Yeah.
The Sustainable Futures Commission has not met since our last meeting. They're meeting later this week with an eye toward the budget request to discuss those in some detail. Another report that I would give is those of us who have not done so before were invited to tour the potential shooting range facility at Cemex's property, and I did that last Friday, I guess. And I don't think any new information that the other members of this board hadn't heard before came out, other than I would say that it was very clear from maybe the 20 or so people there, including one of the Boulder County Commissioners and one of the Larimer County Commissioners, that they're pretty serious about going forward on this, because the Forest Service has conditioned the closing of some open range shooting areas in National Forest on there being another shooting range facility approved in the general area of Boulder County, Larimer County. So with that Forest Service preliminary consideration, it's pretty clear that they're not necessarily deciding on lions now, but it's getting very serious consideration. And the prevailing mood of those who toured it was, oh, this will make a nice facility because it's down in a valley and they'd be shooting away from town and a mountain in between. So I think that it's likely to see that still proceed forward.
So I'll go next, because I actually have another, I want to add on to that. And I agree from the report from Trustee Browning, it sounds like things are still proceeding as they have been. However, I would like to ask the board to put an item on an agenda to have some discussion about maybe soliciting feedback from the community on this project. My understanding, and we had a meeting with the commissioners a while back, was that they were going to hold a community meeting and get some input, and we asked them to do that, and they have not done it. So my concern is that they're just not getting any input from our community, and so, while this is their project, I think we owe it to our citizens to get that input if the county's not going to do it, and I'm very disappointed in the county for not following through on that meeting that they said they would have back in July, I believe it was. So I think we could put it on the agenda to discuss potentially a survey question similar to what we did with housing a while back, to see where the community is on this, and then we can go from there. So if you're agreeable to putting that item on the next agenda, we could proceed with that.
I should say Commissioner Gardner was there from Boulder County, and she did say that they still intend to have a community meeting. They didn't feel like their design was far enough along that they could present the community with enough specifics to, you know, right now it's just still a general plan to put it out there, but there was some lack of information about how much additional mining CEMEX was going to do, how much sandstone they were going to take out, and therefore how they would, whether there would be enough room for a 100-yard range as opposed to 25-yard ranges, and they weren't there yet. So they're still saying they're going to do that. They didn't have any timetable for it.
Yeah, I guess my concern is that I don't want this to get so far down the road that input from the community doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's my concern. So I get it, they want to have something to just maybe present, but I think we need to get some input before we even get that far would be my preference. Trustee Farrell?
I'd like to add on to that as well. I'm curious if there's a way, or if there was any thought from them about proposing some sound testing, so that could be a part of the discussion as well. I mean, I would be very curious to know if they're shooting in that place, in that space, on a cloudy day as sound travels, will it be heard in the Lions Valley Park neighborhood, the high school, middle school area?
So let me just say, we didn't notice this at this point, so I think that's why we
Yeah,
want to have a discussion, is so that we can say, let's talk about all these concerns.
So I
and
would like that, I just wanted for that to be added to that
Okay.
discussion as a
I think
point.
we'll have a general discussion on, you know, the shooting range and proceeding with some action of if, you know, whatever we decide is appropriate. So
Okay.
sounds like everybody's agreeable to anybody opposed. Okay, we'll put that on our next agenda. I'll finish mine since I started. I did attend Dr. Cog was it last week? 2 weeks ago. And I want to commend the staff. They submitted a really nice poster to Dr. Cog, and they do a poster presentation of kind of what's going on in your community. And the staff submitted, I should say, a really nice poster about flood recovery and Bone Park and what we've done. It was really well done. So I had not seen that poster before. I don't know if you made it specifically for that occasion.
We did specific for that.
It looked great.
Can you put it on the website? Is there a-
Yeah, sorry, I should have taken a picture. I didn't. So people were commenting how great the poster was. The regional projects have been submitted to Dr. Cog, and so Boulder, our county did submit for a couple projects, there were improvements to, I believe, Highway 7. So I think they submitted 3.
119 and 287.
So those projects are in, so the sub-regional will be the next thing that we work on, which is, I believe, what the staff presented earlier about our project that we would submit as the Broadway improvement. So I'll keep it posted on how things are going with that. Other than that, I have a couple meetings, Metro Mayors this week. That's all I have to report. So, I'm gonna pick back up down here.
Sure. Let's see, so on the last HSAC meeting I missed because I was doing habitat stuff, which I am in full swing with now. But Amy just sent me a little synopsis, and she said that they're working on the vulnerable citizens list again for if there were to be another disaster. Folks that couldn't get out on their own, or if they had trouble with oxygen or something like that, medications, to be able to get to them and knowing who those people are. So we're working on that list once again, and who's going to be kind of the keeper of the list. So we'd like to have Kim and Lori back to the meetings to kind of work through that. Yeah. And then, of course, transportation's always on the agenda. They want to know about a midday bus service, which I haven't told them yet that it's about to go away. Yeah, so,
I would say that the route is going away, but they are looking at other options to get some other
like a van or
options,
something.
like, yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
it's not off the table, but something would be put in
Okay.
place to replace that,
Okay,
so.
that would be good. And obviously, the 9 health fair was this weekend, and I think it was well attended. So, yeah, that's about it.
Well, the PCDC did not meet, however, we met with the chair of PCDC and the town planner to set up a mechanism for anticipating agendas and outlining the steps that we would be taking on, several agendas into the future. And then, that way, I think, helping to improve communications and clarify.
Okay, trustee Farrell?
Yes, I actually wanted to go back to what we were talking about with Bone Park Phase 2, the cultural study and the beginning of construction resuming. I know that in terms of the Skate Plaza, at one point back, I believe, April timeframe, maybe early May, Parks and Rec submitted a 30% design for the Skate Plaza. And I'm curious then if in the meantime, they've gotten to a 90%, and when were they planning to seek feedback from the community on that particular design before going forward with construction?
Well, we aren't spending any more money on design until we get approval to move forward.
Okay,
So it hasn't moved since April or May.
okay.
And we've had an expression from the high school, middle school and high school, to get involved with the design. So we will pick it back up with that group, and then probably open up to adults who want to be involved too. But they have an interest in sitting down and working with the designer directly.
Can you give me an idea of who that group
First,
is?
the contact?
Yes.
Sure, I can get it for you.
Okay, thank you. That's all from me now.
So as soon as we get the go-ahead,
Yes,
we will start that.
okay.
Part of it here. Ecology Board has met. There's some concerns from the members on the board. Steve's doing a very good job in corralling the weed subgroup, which has exploded, and looking to write laws that prohibit anybody doing anything on their private property. I'm still just standing far and watching, but Steve is doing a very good job in corralling. So see him, pat him on the back, because our appointed position chair is doing very well. They have some concerns that the subgroup has asked for a grant without approval of the voting members of the board, or even bring it to them. So there's a concern there, kind of a legal concern as I look at our codes, so I don't know how we want, I don't, were you approached?
I was
If they would use
approached,
our town as the grant?
I was
recipient?
approached the day the grant was due. And I was told that it had been voted on by the Ecology Board and approved, and I reiterated to them that submittal takes, board approval. And put in that situation once again that it was due that day, and I was told the Ecology Board had voted on it.
They were saying there's meeting just the other day that, no, they did not.
I made it clear to them that it could not be accepted until it came before the Board of
And just
Trustees.
to advise the
not
board of what they're looking to do is to test soils in the park for chemicals. That's fine for the little idea they want to do, but that also puts the town on the hook for anything else that may be found across the cleanup. So we may want to tread very carefully as we move forward. So be aware,
She
keep in your mind.
told me they would only be testing for 3 specific articles, and that the
But if a
funding they
lab
were
fi-
asking for was like a total of, what was it, $1,500?
That's
It was
fine.
to a Lions Community Foundation
But
grant.
if a lab
As-
finds something though that they are required to report incidentally,
Sure.
and they have to,
Mhm.
what are we
Yeah. This
liable
was a-
for and for how much?
This was a local LCF grant, it wasn't like it was a state or federal grant, and they submitted it as SOS, so.
Well, we may need to have a discussion with them about the scope here, because I think what's happened is we did say to the Ecology Board, or they came to us and wanted to look at our policies.
Yeah.
now it's morphed into, there's this second group that sounds like they're wanting to do more than that. And they are more than welcome to work, but I think we have to draw some lines around what is the ecology board and what is this other group.
Correct.
And, you know, if the other group wants to do some things on their own, that might be fine, but if I kind of maybe need some direction from the attorney.
Yeah, I think we need to probably schedule a discussion
Yeah.
item on this for the next meeting. It sounds like we're kind of veering into discussion territory, and this is not noticed.
Yeah, I'm just questioning kind of the members and whether they had, you know, they're using members that aren't members of the ecology board now, I think,
Correct.
potentially, so.
Correct.
We can
And
just,
not everybody may be members of, even in the community line, in this town limits.
Yeah.
So I can pretty much guarantee it'll be citizens in the town.
maybe we could
limits.
ask the ecology board to come and give us an update? Would that be a good starting
That
point,
would
a
be a
board
really good
commission
starting
slot? Okay, let's do that.
And like I said, more, sorry.
Keep-
For discussion for the board, if we want to discuss it more, concerning the MOU that we just recently dealt with in Lions Properties, do we want to, an issue was brought up with water that was turned off that wasn't supposed to be maybe even
Yeah,
on.
Julie.
There's a water,
I don't think-
Sorry.
do we need to, does staff, do we need to,
Discuss it.
as a board discuss, or does staff just need to finish that part of the MOU? How, do we need to go further on that? That's what I'm asking the board, do we need to have that as a different agenda item? Because there's still stuff that's not done.
Right, and I think staff is addressing that. If we want to have a more detailed discussion, that should probably be executive session.
Okay.
I can send a staff update.
Yeah.
So that's all I was just, because it's still sitting out there, we don't want to continue, let's just resolve everything, get taken care of, and
My advice is that's an enforcement issue, so we
Okay.
should just ask for staff for their
okay.
update. And-
that's fine, that's,
I'm also interested in seeing that update and communicating with staff about it.
I think you can send it to the whole board as a.
Other than the two.
Yeah.
UEB meets Wednesday, 4:30. Come and look at more budget stuff and rate studies and things if you're interested. The UEB has mentioned earlier in the year that when RFPs go out, they will, before they go out and go out for bid, to something they may include or may come across our utilities that they may want to see it before you go out for bid, because they may have recommendations or something, but I'm sure you're always in the committee, so that's just from a previous meetings in my notes, I just want to make sure. So
So you're saying UEB would like to review RFPs before they go out?
if possible,
And construction,
And construction
invitation for
stuff.
bids.
yeah.
If there's time, maybe.
If there's
If
time.
there's time,
And
because
they
if somebody
did
goes out for
budget
bid and they
if
catch
there's
it
time.
later, and all of a sudden they catch something with what they're supposed to do that could affect costs, it just slows down, that's what they're asking. So,
And I think it would probably require some in our contracting and guidelines, because they do not have such a step in it right now.
Well, then, can we not proceed till they don't meet for a month? You know, yeah, it will put a constraint on things, but we can, if there's time, sure.
We should be able to do something with that.
and then quickly, what the audience business was brought up about the school, it's St. Vrain Valley, I don't have kids in school, don't plan on having kids in school, so anytime, St. Vrain Valley School, those who have kids, have they ever talked about year-round classes? You know, I mean, where a lot of school districts do with testing, and the only reason I bring that up is that's where CDOT would probably definitely need an overpass for pedestrian, because year-round, could you imagine year-round school at that elementary school in our
Oh, God.
Thursday, Friday, Monday, maybe traffic? And so what the audience brought up would be a very, very serious issue. So if St. Vrain ever does that, they may want to move that school to the other campus, because you gotta cross, that'd just be a disaster. So, that's all.
Hadn't gone
Trustee
there
Vaughn?
before. So EDC has not met, there's really two active members, but they're kind of meeting in other capacities. We did meet the mayor and Victoria and Kim and Tiffany about just ways of marketing and promoting the EDC a little differently to recruit more members, so we're working on that. And then revolving loan fund ad hoc committee, we're actually having that informational meeting tomorrow evening. And I have a lot of, a really good group of people, and now today I've actually just recruited, she's gonna put in an application, the branch manager of Bank of the West, which I think will be a really good addition for that review committee, so that's where we are.
All right, great. All right, that's it for trustee reports. We will have our last executive session. How about, do we want to take a brief recess?
I think it should be noted, we went into trustee reports at 20 till 9. I think that should be noted. Manager Sullivan's.
Duly noted.
Don't speak to say we still have an executive
Well,
session.
that's
The action items for staff.
Okay, yeah.
Just for the
Go
record.
ahead, thank you, sorry.
Deb, you have.
Getting close.
So, we've got the ecology board for an update next meeting, and a discussion on the shooting range to see if we want to go on a survey. That's all I marked yellow.
Post the Dr. Cog poster on the website.
Oh, yeah.
Continue working with HSAC on the vulnerable citizen list. I need to send an enforcement update on
An
Lions
update to the
property.
board on Lions properties.
And that is, and then just update resolutions and ordinances.
Yeah. And is there an action item, we never got to this, to direct the UEB to look at?
Yeah, we said
Updating.
that, I was like, we forgot to do that. So if the
Yep.
board's agreeable, we would give direction to have the UEB review the utility code and make recommendations to the board. So, looks like, so directed, okay. Is there a motion to have a brief recess before we go into our last executive session?
I move to have brief recess, please.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, go ahead and call for the vote. All right, we'll take a brief break and then we'll come back and finish up.
Denver's up 23-20.
I was gonna say-
with a little less than 3 minutes.
3
3
minutes.
minutes to go.
What?
20.
21?
No, 23-20.
Throw by 3
Alright.
points with.
Didn't quite get you home to watch football, but you know.
I've got
Not
253
one line
on my tracker.
259 on the
Oh,
tracker.
Lindsay came and asked about
Is that what you're really doing?
Don't give her Rocky.
No, I'm not. I
Don't give her
I
Rocky.
looked at
But
it.
no,
I
they
didn't-
had.
I know, they got basketball, nothing I pulled up.
They got
Unfortunately,
basketball.
Kansas City's driving.
A crosswalk and all that stuff.
We did.
No, I got
We
slashed
just
last
did
night in
like 2 weeks
hockey.
ago.
Oh, well, that's way better than
I mean,
Yeah, and I went, I saw it coming, put my hand up, and of course, I'm a
lines
cheap
down
ass,
the
I'm
side
using
for
for my
like
son's high school.
walkway, like a walking.
Well, so there's a hole right there, so I grabbed a stick and
Hey,
someone tried to
Joe,
slash me.
Do you know exactly where they did the painting up by the school recently?
It was supposed to be across,
Yeah,
on the top side of
Yeah.
High, mid-block, they were supposed to
Yeah.
stripe in a pedestrian,
Yep, they
street
did it
crossing.
on Ford.
Physical exercise.
Well, they were also
exercise.
supposed to do it
Yeah,
on Third,
yeah.
because the
Yeah.
I'm
principal
not a
talked to me,
runner
and
or
that's the one who
Yep.
wanted.
Everyone around.
And you're supposed to do like,
Yeah,
I'm not
like
trying
make
to
a
live here.
walkway,
Oh.
pink walkway
I'm
down the side.
I never heard that.
From what we discussed.
Yeah, 'cause I didn't hear that.
Discussed it.
I used to mountain bike
In a
way
work-
back in the early days of.
Like a year and a half ago.
Even
Yeah.
Did some Norba.
I don't
events.
Or maybe it was a
The national-
workshop.
Back in infancy.
Was
And
that
they were,
true?
and a year
That's part of the reason
ago,
my shoulders are
you
shot.
guys said you
There's no,
were gonna
the
get,
only,
like, it
no
was gonna
suspension
happen
you
that
had on your
week
bike
or
when
whatever,
you
and
use your
then
shoulder.
never
Those are all
happened.
Right.
I never
Yeah.
remember.
I don't remember that one on Third.
But
I still have my
they have
mountain
been-
bike from
If the weather holds out, you might be able to get it back.
Yeah, because
I
the
got you.
crosswalk on Third and High, right there.
Yeah, up mid-block, the
Yeah.
principal asked me for that this
You
summer.
adjust your body.
Yeah.
You do this.
Yeah, it was actually supposed to be kind of right across by my driveway.
Young, don't do it, kill them.
So you know the
Absolutely
end
can't,
of
you know, stand or work, day at work, so.
Sure. Yeah, so basically from the end of the street, straight across, which is, or kitty corner, so it's,
Another crosswalk, or you wanted something?
no, just a crosswalk, because that's where all the kids come off of High Street, is
Where
right
do they
there.
walk though if there's no sidewalks on either side?
Well, they walk, if they're coming from the north, on the north side, there's a little, half a sidewalk, about half a block up to High Street up here. But there's nothing up here, there's nothing up here, which is why we talked about painting a white stripe down one side of the road, so they would have
during the travel.
Yeah.
So that was Kim and Joe and Bill
I
Christ.
really don't remember that.
Well, can you legally have a
Yeah,
crosswalk where there's no sidewalk or crossing?
Sure.
You
Well,
can't.
we had it at the though we put this one at the intersection. You could have mid-block crossings.
Well,
all the
that-
time.
That's what
we
goes
did.
to,
On Main Street, we had
quite
mid-block
the alley
crossings.
does.
No, it doesn't go to even go to my house. It ends at my driveway. That sidewalk does.
So I think I just need to bring up with, I
Yeah.
never attended any of
No,
those,
we'll have to
so.
talk about it, but that wasn't even on Bill's list, I know.
So Third and High. Plus, how did you guys want to proceed with what they talked about? That's a huge change.
Oh.
Well, yeah, so when they're coming this way, I mean, that was part of Lindsay's deal, but what she was talking about today, but they have a sidewalk, oh, no, they don't. They don't have a sidewalk on,
Okay.
You scroll across?
No, we're fine.
Well, yeah, or it did show up.
right at the,
Coming north, because cars coming through, I think, pull off.
they do, they pull off the highway like 35 miles an hour, and there's no visibility either because there's cars parked right along there.
Stop people turning left.
Out of it and
High
walk.
and
That
Third
is
and
true.
Stickney and
See
Third.
those sprinkler heads out there?
Yeah,
The
Stickney and
purple
Third.
is what
There
she
is a
tells
stop
you.
sign
Is that
here,
means it's
here,
non-stop
going,
walk.
heading north.
But not if you're coming from the
So
north.
purple
But
sprinkler
But if
heads.
you're coming from the,
Parents are always down this hill because they drop off their kids and they're hurried to go down.
there's a stop sign here, there's a stop sign here, and there's stop signs right, all right here.
He was worried about that.
Yeah, it's right here that's the problem, right at my house. I'm telling you. And right here by the alley, there's an alley behind Julie's house,
Take the alley.
that goes across to another alley. That means, that's right behind the school,
I guess
and a lot of kids walk.
The other one that's bad is the alley coming out of Milton Eggs to Main Street.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
Well,
that one's bad.
But I mean, when you're coming out of the alley, you can't see
see.
alley to right, so if you've already
Alley to alley.
and gone home.
Oh,
To see if
You don't
anybody,
come
you
out
gotta
from
just
the
gotta
woods.
see
So
your
we'll
rule
have
somebody's
to
not running or
run
coming on by
Can we
because
get-
or kid,
Oh,
yeah, because you can't see.
But I'll talk to Kim. I never went to any of those, so I thought they were nice.
we did, and that really wasn't on the list.
Order in the court.
I haven't done my phone.
We're gonna try to wrap
My
up.
5-minute recess, I need.
Jinx our,
Paul, you'll start.
Deb, can you shut it off
today
again?
might be the night, but